My name is Genevieve Thornton, and I'm 34 years old. 6 months ago, I sat in a lawyer's office and watched my parents hand my sister everything, the house, the business, the trust fund, while I got nothing. "You've always been difficult, Jen," my mother said, her voice cold and final. My sister smiled. The lawyer said nothing. I stood up, looked at Eleanor, and walked out without a word. Last week, my phone lit up with 47 missed calls. When I finally answered, my mother was sobbing. "The FBI just showed up at Eleanor's door," she cried. "They're saying something about embezzlement and money laundering. Jen, what did she do with the money?" I hadn't touched a single dollar. But my sister, the one who got everything, had made choices that were about to cost her more than she ever imagined. Before I tell you how we got here, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. And I'd love to know, where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Leave a comment below. Let me take you back to where it all began. Growing up, I was always the outsider in my own family. Eleanor was 4 years older, and from the time I could remember, she was the sun everyone orbited around. When she graduated high school, my parents threw a party with 100 guests. When I graduated with honors 4 years later, we went to dinner at Applebee's, just the four of us. When Eleanor decided to stay home and help with the family business, my father's small woodworking company, my parents bought her a new Honda and helped her rent a beautiful apartment downtown. When I announced I'd been accepted to Portland State for accounting, my mother sighed and said, "We can't help with tuition, Jen. You understand?" I understood. I took out student loans, worked 2 jobs, and graduated with a 3.8 GPA. My parents didn't come to my graduation. "We can't leave the business for a whole weekend," my mother explained over the phone. "Eleanor can't manage everything alone." Eleanor posted photos from a wine tasting trip that same weekend. I moved to Portland, got my CPA license, and started working for a mid-sized accounting firm. I paid off my loans dollar by dollar, alone. I called home every Sunday. I sent birthday cards. I showed up for holidays when I could afford the flight. But every conversation felt the same. "How's Eleanor?" my mother would ask before I'd even finished saying hello. "She's been working so hard at the company." Then, almost as an afterthought, "How are you, Jen?" "I'm fine, Mom." "That's good. You know, Eleanor really needs more help. She's doing everything herself." The message was clear. Eleanor sacrificed. Eleanor stayed. Eleanor mattered. I was just the one who left. 2 years before the lawyer meeting, I tried to help. My mother called, frantic about tax filing deadlines. "Jen, you're an accountant. Can you look at our books? We're so behind." I flew home that weekend, spending my own money on the ticket. I sat at the kitchen table with spreadsheets and receipts scattered everywhere. That's when I noticed something odd. Several large cash withdrawals over the past year, totaling nearly $80,000. No documentation, no invoices, just miscellaneous expenses scribbled in Eleanor's handwriting. I found my mother in the living room. "Mom, I need to ask about these withdrawals. Where did this money go?" Her face hardened. "That's company business, Jen." "I know, but if the IRS audits you, they'll want documentation. You need clear records of where—" Eleanor walked in, arms crossed. "Are you seriously going through our private finances?" "Mom asked me to help with taxes." "Helping with taxes doesn't mean interrogating us," Eleanor snapped. "You don't work here, Jen. You don't get to tell us how to run things." I kept my voice calm. "I'm just saying, if the IRS asks, you need to show where that 80,000 came from. It's a legal requirement." My mother stood up. "This is exactly why we don't ask you for help anymore, Jen. You always find problems. You always make everything complicated." "I'm trying to protect you." "We don't need your lectures," Eleanor interrupted. "We've been running this business for 20 years. I think we know what we're doing." I closed the laptop. "Okay, I was just trying to help." My mother's voice softened slightly, but her words still stung. "You mean well, Jen." But you're always so paranoid. Everything's fine. I flew back to Portland the next morning. I never brought it up again. The email came on a Tuesday morning in March. Subject: Family Meeting. Your attendance required. From Lawrence Greenberg, Attorney at Law. Dear Genevieve, your parents have requested a family meeting to discuss important estate matters. Your presence is required on Friday, March 15th at 10:00 a.m. at my office in Beaverton. Please confirm your attendance. Regards, Lawrence Greenberg, Escrow. I stared at the screen. Estate matters? My father was 65 and healthy. My mother was 62 and ran 3 miles every morning. Why were we suddenly discussing estates? I texted Eleanor. Do you know what this meeting is about? 3 hours passed. No response. I called my mother that evening. Mom, I got an email from a lawyer. What's going on? Is someone sick? No one's sick, she said briskly. We just need to discuss some family business. Can you make it Friday? I'll have to take off work. Can you tell me what? Friday at 10, Jen. Don't be late. She hung up. I booked a flight, requested a day off, and tried calling Eleanor again. Voicemail. On the plane, I ran through possibilities. Maybe they were finally setting up proper retirement accounts. Maybe they wanted to discuss selling the business. Maybe, and this thought made my chest tighten, maybe they'd finally acknowledged what Grandma Dorothy's will had actually said. My grandmother had died 5 years ago, leaving behind a trust fund she'd carefully built over decades. At the funeral, I remembered her lawyer mentioning something about equal distribution to both granddaughters. But my parents had handled everything, and I'd been too grief-stricken to ask questions. Maybe now, finally, they were ready to make things right. I should have known better. Lawrence Greenberg's office was in a modest brick building off Canyon Road. I arrived 10 minutes early, my hands cold despite the mild spring weather. The receptionist barely looked up. Thornton meeting? Conference room B. They're already inside. Already inside. Of course they were. I walked down the hall, my footsteps muffled by thick carpet. Through the glass panel I could see them, my parents and Eleanor sitting around a polished wooden table, laughing at something the lawyer had said. Coffee cups in front of them, a stack of documents in the center. No one had waited for me. I opened the door. 4 heads turned. Jen, you made it, my father said. Not good to see you. Not thanks for coming. Just a statement of fact. Hi, Dad, Mom, Eleanor. My mother nodded. Eleanor gave me a small smile that didn't reach her eyes. Lawrence Greenberg stood, extending his hand. Ms. Thornton, please, have a seat. He gestured to the chair farthest from everyone else, at the opposite end of the table. I sat down. In front of my parents and Eleanor were neat folders, clearly prepared in advance. In front of my seat? Nothing, just empty table. Would you like coffee? The lawyer asked. No, thank you. He settled back into his chair, adjusting his reading glasses. My mother and Eleanor exchanged a glance I couldn't quite read. My father looked down at his folder, silent as always. The room felt cold despite the heating vent humming overhead. Outside the window, I could see people walking by, getting coffee, living normal lives. Inside this room, I felt like I was sitting in a courtroom where the verdict had already been decided. I just didn't know what I'd been convicted of yet. Lawrence Greenberg cleared his throat and opened the top folder. Thank you all for coming. We're here today to finalize the distribution of family assets, as requested by Robert and Margaret Thornton. He glanced at my parents, who nodded. My stomach tightened. Let's begin, he continued, reading from the document. The family residence located at 428 Maple Street, valued at approximately $1.2 million, will be transferred to Eleanor Thornton. I blinked. That was the house I grew up in. The house where Grandma Dorothy had lived with us before she passed. The business, Thornton Custom Woodworks, including all assets, inventory, and client contracts, will also be transferred to Eleanor Thornton. Eleanor reached for her coffee, her expression carefully neutral. Additionally, the family trust fund, currently valued at $800,000, will be placed under Eleanor's sole management and ownership. The room felt like it was tilting. I gripped the edge of the table. Greenberg turned the page. And for Genevieve Thornton, he paused, scanning the document. No assets have been designated at this time. The silence was deafening. I found my voice, though it came out smaller than I intended. I'm sorry, what? My mother spoke before the lawyer could respond. Jen, we've discussed this carefully as a family. This is what makes the most sense. I wasn't part of that discussion. Eleanor has been here, my father said quietly, still not meeting my eyes. She's helped with the business, she's been present. And I haven't? My voice cracked slightly. My mother sighed. You chose to leave, Jen. You chose your own path. Eleanor chose family. I felt my hands go cold. I looked at each of them, searching for something. Hesitation, regret, anything. Mom, I didn't choose to leave. I went to college. I built a career. You left when we needed you, my mother said, her tone firm. Eleanor stayed and sacrificed. She's earned this. Earned what? Everything? Eleanor finally spoke. Jen, you have a good job. You're stable. You don't need this. That's not the point. My voice was shaking now, and I hated it. This isn't about need. This is about fairness, about family. Family is about being there, my mother cut in. You've always been difficult, Jen, always questioning everything, always making things complicated. The word hit me like a slap. Difficult. I'm difficult because I went to college? Because I built my own life? You're difficult because you only think about yourself, my mother continued. When we needed help, you were in Portland. When the business was struggling, you were busy with your career. Eleanor was here working beside us every single day. My father nodded slowly. Your sister has proven herself, Jen. We need someone dependable. Dependable. As if I'd ever let them down when they actually asked. I thought about the student loans I'd paid alone, the graduation they'd missed, the Thanksgiving I'd worked a double shift to afford a plane ticket home, only to spend the entire dinner hearing about Eleanor's accomplishments. We think you'll understand eventually, my mother added, her voice softening into something almost condescending. This is what's best for everyone. I looked at Eleanor. She was staring at her coffee cup, silent. Do you have anything to say? I asked her. She looked up briefly. I think Mom and Dad have made their decision. No defense, no protest, nothing. I stood up. Lawrence Greenberg looked startled. Ms. Thornton, would you like to review the documents? You have the right to— No, thank you, I said quietly. I understand perfectly. My mother frowned. Jen, don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic, Mom. I'm just leaving. I picked up my purse and turned to Eleanor. She looked uncomfortable now, shifting in her seat. I smiled at her, not a bitter smile, not angry, just clear. Congratulations, Eleanor. I hope it all works out for you. Her eyes widened slightly. Jen, I mean it, I said. I really do. My father stood. Jen, you're acting like we've wronged you. This is a practical decision. The business needs continuity, and Eleanor has everything now, I finished. I get it, Dad. I looked at my mother one last time. She was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite name, part annoyance, part confusion, like I wasn't responding the way she'd expected. You're being childish, she said. Maybe. I walked toward the door, then paused. Just out of curiosity, what happened to Grandma Dorothy's money? She left a trust fund specifically for me and Eleanor. Equal shares. I remember that from the funeral. The room went very still. My mother's face hardened. That money went toward family expenses, the house, the business, things that benefited everyone. Including me? It benefited the family, she repeated. I nodded slowly. Right, the family. I opened the door. Jen, my mother called. Don't leave like this. Don't act like you're the victim here. I looked back at her. I'm not acting like anything, Mom. I'm just going home. I walked out and closed the door behind me. The hallway was quiet, my hands were shaking, but I didn't cry. I sat in my rental car in the parking lot for 20 minutes before I could bring myself to start the engine. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "You're overreacting. Call me when you calm down." I turned the phone face down. As I drove to the airport, something kept nagging at me. My mother's words. That money went toward family expenses. But that wasn't what Grandma Dorothy had said. I remembered the funeral clearly. I'd been 29, still paying off student loans, still trying to prove myself. Grandma Dorothy had been 84, sharp as ever until the very end. She'd pulled me aside at her birthday party, 2 months before she died. "I've set up a trust for you and Eleanor," she'd said, holding my hand. "Equal shares. I want you both to have security." "Grandma, you don't have to." "It's already done, sweetheart. My lawyer has everything arranged. $500,000, $250 for each of you." I'd hugged her, tears in my eyes. "Thank you." "Use it wisely, Jen. You're smart. I'm proud of you." At the funeral, her lawyer, not Lawrence Greenberg, someone else, had briefly mentioned the trust. My parents had handled everything, saying they'd take care of the details since I had to fly back to Portland for work. I'd never seen a single document. I'd never received a single dollar, and I'd never asked. I'd trusted them. By the time I boarded my flight, a plan was forming. When I got home, I would look through my old emails. Grandma Dorothy's lawyer had sent me something years ago, a courtesy copy maybe. I'd barely glanced at it at the time, too overwhelmed with grief. But I'd saved it. I saved everything. I got home to Portland at 9 p.m., exhausted and numb. I dropped my bag by the door, made chamomile tea I didn't drink, and opened my laptop. My email archive went back 12 years. I searched for Dorothy Whitfield, my grandmother's maiden name, the one she'd used for legal documents. 43 results. I scrolled through birthday messages, forwarded recipes, photos from holidays. Then, dated November 8th, 5 years ago, 2 weeks after her funeral, I found it. Subject: Estate Documents, Dorothy Ann Whitfield, from Pia Myers at myersestatelaw.com. Dear Ms. Thornton, per your grandmother's instructions, please find attached a copy of her last will and testament for your records. Should you have any questions about the distribution of assets, please don't hesitate to contact our office. Sincerely, Patricia Myers, Estate Attorney. I clicked the attachment. A PDF, 23 pages long. My hands were shaking as I scrolled through the legal language. Property disposition, personal effects. And then, on page 16, I found it. Section 7. Trust Fund Distribution. The sum of $500,000, held in trust at First National Bank, shall be divided equally between my granddaughters, Genevieve Marie Thornton and Eleanor Catherine Thornton, each receiving $250,000, $250,000. This distribution shall occur no later than 90 days following my death, administered by Patricia Myers, escrow equal shares, no later than 90 days. I checked the date again. 5 years ago. I'd never received anything. Not a check. Not a call. Not even a letter explaining where the money had gone. I read the paragraph 3 more times, then printed the entire document. I labeled the folder Grandma's Will and placed it in my desk drawer. Then I closed my laptop and sat in the dark. 2 weeks after the lawyer meeting, Eleanor posted on Facebook. I was having coffee before work when the notification popped up. She'd tagged me in a photo. The image showed her standing in front of my childhood home, holding a glass of champagne. The caption read, "Officially mine. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for trusting me with our family legacy. Family is everything." 63 likes already. Comments pouring in. "So happy for you. You deserve it. Beautiful home, beautiful person." My Aunt Karen commented, "Your grandmother would be so proud." I stared at that line for a long time. My phone buzzed. A private message from Stephanie, a girl I'd known in high school. "Hey Jen, I saw Eleanor's post. Did your parents give her the house? Are you okay?" I typed and deleted 3 responses before settling on, "I'm fine. Family dynamics are complicated. Happy for her." Stephanie replied immediately, "If you ever want to talk, I'm here." I liked the message, but didn't respond. Over the next week, Eleanor posted 6 more times. A photo of her new office at the woodworking company, a picture of paperwork labeled Thornton Trust Fund, a selfie with our parents captioned, "Grateful for their guidance and faith in me." Not one mention of me, not in the photos, not in the captions, not in the comments. It was like I'd been erased. My mother shared every post, adding her own comments. "So proud of my Eleanor. I didn't unfollow them. I didn't comment. I didn't react, but I did screenshot everything. Not because I planned to do anything with it, just because I needed proof that this was real, that I wasn't imagining the casual cruelty of being written out of my own family history." 1 month after the meeting, my mother threw a party. I found out about it the same way everyone else did. Instagram. Eleanor posted a video. String lights in the backyard. Tables covered with food. At least 30 people laughing and talking. A banner across the porch. "Congratulations, Eleanor! New CEO, CEO." My sister was now the official head of Thornton Custom Woodworks. I watched the video 3 times. There was my father raising a glass, my mother beaming beside Eleanor, Lawrence Greenberg, the lawyer, holding a plate of appetizers, cousins I'd grown up with, my Uncle Tom, even Stephanie's mom, who'd always been kind to me. Everyone we knew, no one had told me. The comments were full of celebration. "What an amazing night. Eleanor, you're going to do incredible things. So glad I could be there." My cousin Melissa commented, "Wait, was Jen there? I didn't see her." Eleanor replied, "She's really busy with work in Portland. Couldn't make it." I stared at that lie. Couldn't make it. As if I'd been invited and declined. My mother didn't correct her. Another video showed Eleanor giving a speech. "I couldn't have done this without my parents' support," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "They believed in me when I needed it most. This business is our family's legacy, and I promise to honor that every single day." Applause erupted. People cheered. My father hugged her, tears in his eyes. I sat on my couch in Portland, 800 miles away, watching my family celebrate the official exclusion of me from their lives. My phone stayed silent all night. No text, no call, no, "Wish you could be here." I turned off my phone and went to bed. 3 months after the lawyer meeting, Eleanor called me. It was a Tuesday morning. I was reviewing a client's quarterly reports when her name lit up my screen. We hadn't spoken since I'd walked out of Greenberg's office. I almost didn't answer. "Hello?" "Jen, hi, it's Eleanor." "I know." A pause. "How are you?" "I'm fine. What do you need?" She laughed awkwardly. "Straight to the point, huh? Look, I need to ask you something. It's kind of urgent." I waited. "The house needs a new roof. The inspector says it can't wait. There's water damage. I need to borrow $15,000. I blinked. "You need to borrow $15,000 from me?" "Just temporarily. I'll pay you back in 3 months. "Eleanor, you have a trust fund worth $800,000. Silence. "Eleanor?" "The money's... It's tied up right now. I made some investments, really good ones, but they're not liquid at the moment." "What kind of investments?" "That's not really your concern, Jen." My jaw tightened. "You're asking to borrow $15,000, but won't tell me why you can't access your own money?" "I'm asking because you're my sister, and I need help." Her voice had an edge now. "The roof is leaking. Do you want Mom and Dad's house to fall apart?" "Mom and Dad's house? I thought it was your house now." "You know what I mean." I took a breath. "Eleanor, I don't have $15,000 to lend you." "Yes, you do. You're an accountant. You make good money." "I also have student loans, rent, and my own expenses." "You've always been selfish, Jen. You know that?" The line was so familiar it almost made me laugh. "I'll remember you said that," I told her. "Good luck with the roof." I hung up. 4 months after the lawyer meeting, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Is this Genevieve Thornton? Yes, who's calling? My name is Patricia Myers. I'm an estate attorney. I represent the Dorothy Ann Whitfield estate. I sat up straighter. Grandma Dorothy's lawyer. I'm calling because we're conducting an audit of asset distribution following Mrs. Whitfield's death. According to our records, you were designated to receive $250,000 from her trust fund. Can you confirm whether you received those funds? My heart started pounding. No, I never received anything. Received. A long pause. Nothing at all? No check? No wire transfer? No communication from our office or the bank? Nothing. My parents told me the money went to family expenses. I heard typing on the other end. Miss Thornton, according to the trust documents, that money was specifically designated for you and your sister individually. It was not meant for general family use. I have a copy of the will, I said. I printed it from an email you sent me 5 years ago. Good. Hold on to that. More typing. Ms. Thornton, I need to ask, did you sign any documents releasing your claim to those funds? No, I was never asked to sign anything. Did anyone contact you about the distribution at all? No, just my parents saying they'd handled everything. Patricia Myers was quiet for a moment. This is concerning. According to our records, the full amount was transferred to your father's account as trustee, with explicit instructions to distribute it to both granddaughters within 90 days. That was 5 years ago. What does that mean? It means I need to contact your family's attorney and your parents immediately. Something's very wrong here. Patricia Myers called me back 3 days later. Ms. Thornton, I've reviewed the trust distribution records. I need you to email me that copy of the will you mentioned. I sent it immediately. Perfect, she said. This confirms what I suspected. Your grandmother's will explicitly states equal distribution to you and Eleanor. Your parents had no legal authority to redirect your portion. What happens now? I'll be contacting your parents and their attorney. We'll need to resolve this formally. There may also be some additional complications. What kind of complications? She hesitated. I've noticed some irregular activity regarding the trust fund that was transferred to Eleanor, large withdrawals, transfers to unfamiliar accounts. It's possible there are tax implications or other legal issues. I can't say more until I investigate further. My stomach dropped. Eleanor's words echoed in my mind. The money's tied up in investments. Miss Thornton, I want to be clear. You've done nothing wrong. You're the victim of what appears to be misappropriation of estate funds. My job now is to make sure you receive what your grandmother intended. Do I need to do anything? Not yet. I'll handle the legal outreach, but I need your permission to proceed on your behalf. You have it. Good. One more thing. Do not discuss this with your family yet. If there are legal issues brewing, I don't want anyone tampering with evidence or moving assets around. I understand. After we hung up, I sat at my desk, staring at nothing. I hadn't wanted a fight. I hadn't wanted revenge. I just wanted to know the truth. Now the truth was coming whether my family was ready or not. And something told me Eleanor's investments were about to become everyone's problem. Let me pause here for a moment. If you're still with me, I want to ask, have you ever been treated unfairly by your own family? Have you ever had to choose between staying silent and demanding what's right? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you think this story is worth sharing, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps. Now, let's get to what happened next, because this is where everything changed. 6 months after the lawyer meeting, everything exploded. I was in a client meeting, my phone face down on the table, when I felt it start vibrating. Once, twice, 3 times in a row. I ignored it. The client was explaining their budget concerns for Q4, and I needed to focus. But the buzzing didn't stop. When the meeting finally ended an hour later, I picked up my phone and froze. 47 missed calls, 10 from my mother, 5 from my father, 32 from Eleanor, 23 text messages. The most recent from my mother sent 2 minutes ago. Jen, answer your phone. Emergency. My hands shook as I scrolled through the messages. Eleanor, call me now. Eleanor, Jen, please, this is serious. Eleanor, why aren't you answering? My father. Pick up my mother. This is urgent. My mother, we need you to call us immediately. My mother, Jen, please. The last text was from Eleanor, sent 60 seconds ago. The FBI is here. Call me. My heart stopped. I stepped into an empty conference room and called my mother back. She answered on the first ring. Jen, oh my God, finally! Mom, what's happening? What's going on? She was crying. Actual gasping sobs. They're here. The FBI is at Eleanor's house right now. They came with a warrant. They're taking computers, files, everything. What? Why? They're saying something about embezzlement. Money laundering. Jen, what did Eleanor do with that trust fund money? I gripped the edge of the table. Mom, I didn't touch that money. I never received any of it. But Eleanor said what? My mother's voice broke. She said you reported her for something. She said this was your fault. Mom, I didn't report anyone, I said slowly. I don't even know what's happening. They're questioning her right now. They showed her documents, transactions, account numbers. Jen, they think she stole money. From who? I don't know. My mother was hyperventilating. They mentioned fraud, international transfers, some kind of investment scheme. Your father's been trying to call his lawyer, but no one's answering. I heard shouting in the background. My father's voice, angry and desperate. Jen, you have to help. You're an accountant. You understand these things. You can explain to them that Eleanor didn't know. Mom, stop. My voice was firmer than I'd ever used with her. I can't help with this. I don't know anything about Eleanor's finances. But you work with the FBI on tax cases, don't you? No, Mom. I work with the IRS sometimes. That's completely different. Well, you have to do something. She's your sister. I'm not involved in this. There was a crash in the background, the sound of something heavy falling. My mother screamed. Mom! Mom, what's happening? They're taking everything. The computers from the office, the filing cabinets. Jen, they're treating her like a criminal. My father's voice came through, distant but clear. Margaret, get off the phone. The lawyer said not to talk to anyone. This is our daughter, my mother shrieked back. Then, to me, Jen, please, please help us. We don't know what to do. I closed my eyes. Mom, you need to hire a criminal defense attorney, not a family lawyer, a criminal attorney. Criminal? She started sobbing again. My baby girl isn't a criminal. Then she'll need a lawyer to prove that. How can you be so cold? I didn't have an answer. I hung up and immediately Googled FBI raid Beaverton, Oregon. The first result was from the local news posted 20 minutes ago. FBI raids local business owner's home in financial fraud investigation. Federal agents executed a search warrant Friday morning at a residence in Beaverton, Oregon, as part of an ongoing investigation into alleged money laundering and investment fraud. Sources say the investigation involves connections to an international pyramid scheme that defrauded investors of millions of dollars. The homeowner, whose identity has not been released pending charges, allegedly transferred over $600,000 into accounts linked to the scheme. Authorities are investigating whether the individual knowingly participated or was also a victim. $600,000. The trust fund had been $800,000. Eleanor had clearly spent or transferred most of it. I called Patricia Myers, Grandma Dorothy's estate lawyer. Miss Thornton, I was about to call you, she said. Are you aware of what's happening with your sister? I just heard. My mother called me in a panic. I want to assure you, you're not implicated in any way. The FBI contacted me yesterday to verify your portion of the trust. I confirmed you never received your funds, and they've cleared you from the investigation. Relief flooded through me. What happened? What did Eleanor do? From what I understand, she was approached by an investment group promising high returns. She transferred a substantial amount from the trust into their accounts. Turns out the group was a front for an international money laundering operation. Did she know? That's what they're investigating. If she didn't know, she's a victim. If she ignored warning signs or helped facilitate transfers, she could face charges. I thought about Eleanor's evasiveness when she'd asked to borrow money. The money's tied up. How bad is this? I asked. Very. That night, Eleanor called me. Her voice was raw, like she'd been crying for hours. Jen, please, I need your help. Eleanor, I didn't know, okay? I didn't know it was fake. This guy, he was so professional. He had documents, references, everything looked legitimate. What guy? His name was Marcus Sheffield. He said he ran a venture capital fund. He showed me portfolios of successful investments. He said I could double my money in 2 years. I closed my eyes. Did you verify any of it? He had a website, an office, other investors. Did you check with the SEC? Did you talk to a financial advisor? Silence. Eleanor, you moved $600,000 without doing due diligence? I trusted him, she shouted. Then softer. I thought I was being smart. I thought I was growing the family wealth. That wasn't family wealth, half of it was mine. I was going to tell you, after it doubled, I was going to give you your share and more. That's not how this works. She started crying again. They're saying I could go to prison, Jen. The FBI agent said if I helped them, if I cooperated, I might avoid charges, but I need a lawyer, and lawyers are expensive, and You have $800,000. I don't! It's gone. It's all in Marcus's accounts, and they're frozen now, and I can't access anything. What about the house? The business? We need to sell them to pay for the lawyer. Her voice cracked. Jen, you're an accountant. You understand this stuff. Can you come here? Can you explain to the FBI that I didn't know, that I'm not a criminal? Eleanor, I can't do that. Why not? You're my sister. Because I don't know if you're telling the truth. The line went silent. My father called the next morning. Jen, we need to talk about what you're going to tell the FBI. I'm not telling them anything, Dad. I'm not involved. You could help. You could vouch for Eleanor's character. Dad, character references don't matter in fraud investigations. They care about evidence. Then help us find evidence. Go through the documents. You're trained for this. I'm an accountant, not a criminal defense investigator. His voice hardened. Why are you being so stubborn? I'm not being stubborn. I'm protecting myself. From what? From your own family? From legal liability. I kept my voice calm. Dad, if I get involved and say the wrong thing, I could be called as a witness. I could be subpoenaed. This is serious. Your sister is facing prison. I know, and I'm sorry, but 2 years ago, I warned you about the financial irregularities in the business. I told you something was off. Do you remember what Mom said? Silence. She said I was paranoid. She said I was making things complicated. You all shut me down. That was different. It wasn't different, Dad. You didn't want to hear it then, and now you want my help? After you gave Eleanor everything and left me with nothing? We gave her responsibility. That's not the same as, you gave her my inheritance, Dad. Grandma Dorothy's money was supposed to be split equally. You let Eleanor take it all and use it however she wanted. Now it's gone, and you're surprised? We thought we were doing the right thing. For who? He didn't answer. I'm sorry this is happening, I said quietly. I really am, but I can't fix it. Eleanor made her choices. Now she has to face the consequences. My father's voice was cold. You've become very hard, Jen. No, Dad, I've become honest. He hung up. I need to pause again and ask you something. Do you think I should have helped them? Is there ever a time when forgiveness becomes letting people take advantage of you? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you think. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. We're almost at the end, and you'll want to hear how this all turned out. Let's keep going. That evening, I sat down and wrote an email. I wrote it carefully, choosing every word with precision. This wasn't about anger. It was about clarity. To Robert Thornton, Margaret Thornton, Eleanor Thornton. Subject: My position. Mom, Dad, and Eleanor. I want to be very clear about my role in the current situation. I am not involved in any way with Eleanor's financial decisions or the investigation surrounding them. I have not reported anyone to any authorities. I have simply provided truthful information to estate lawyers about my grandmother's will when they contacted me. I understand this is an incredibly difficult time for all of you. I am genuinely sorry that Eleanor is facing legal trouble. I don't wish harm on anyone in this family. However, I cannot and will not involve myself in this case. I am not qualified to help with criminal defense matters, and doing so would put me at legal risk. 2 years ago, I tried to warn you about financial irregularities. I was dismissed. I tried to be part of this family's decisions. I was excluded. I am not trying to punish anyone now. I am simply protecting myself and respecting the boundaries you set when you decided I wasn't part of the family's future. I hope you find a good attorney. I hope Eleanor cooperates with the investigation. I hope this resolves as fairly as possible, but I will not be participating. I wish you all the best. Jen. I read it 3 times, then hit send. My mother replied within 5 minutes. You're heartless. My father didn't reply at all. Eleanor wrote, I'll never forgive you for this. I closed my laptop and didn't respond to any of them. I'd said what I needed to say. 2 months later, the news broke publicly. Local business owner charged in connection to investment fraud scheme. Eleanor Thornton, 38, of Beaverton, has been charged with 1 count of participation in a fraudulent financial scheme. Prosecutors allege Thornton transferred over $600,000 into accounts linked to an international money laundering operation. Thornton's attorney maintains she was a victim of the scheme and cooperated fully with investigators. As part of a plea agreement, Thornton will avoid jail time, but must pay $200,000 in fines and complete 500 hours of community service. She will also be prohibited from managing investment accounts for 5 years. Thornton's family business, Thornton Custom Woodworks, and her personal residence have been listed for sale to cover legal fees and restitution costs. I read the article 3 times. No prison, that was something. But Eleanor's life as she knew it was over. The business my father had built over 30 years, gone. The house I grew up in, gone. The trust fund Grandma Dorothy had carefully saved, gone. And the family's reputation in our small community? Destroyed. I searched Facebook and found that Eleanor had deleted her account. My mother's profile was still up but set to private. The congratulatory posts from the party were gone. My inbox had 1 new message, from my Aunt Karen. I always knew something was off. I'm sorry you got cut out, Jen. You deserved better. I didn't reply. I wasn't celebrating. I felt no satisfaction, no vindication, just a deep, aching sadness that it had come to this. My family had made their choices. They decided I wasn't worth including, wasn't worth trusting, wasn't worth an equal share. Now they were paying the price for those choices. But so was I. Because even though I'd been right, I'd still lost my family. 3 weeks after Eleanor's sentencing, Patricia Myers called again. Ms. Thornton, I have good news. The court has approved the redistribution of your grandmother's estate according to the original will. My heart skipped. What does that mean? It means you'll receive your designated portion, $250,000. Unfortunately, because Eleanor spent a significant amount before the FBI froze the accounts, we can only recover half of the original trust. But your half is intact. $250,000. Money I should have received 5 years ago. Money that could have paid off my student loans, helped me buy a home, given me security. There's one more thing, Patricia said. You have the legal right to sue your parents and Eleanor for the full amount, plus interest and damages. Given the circumstances, you'd likely win. I stared out my apartment window at the Portland skyline. How long would that take? I asked. 2 to 3 years, maybe longer if they contest it. And how much would I actually recover? Hard to say. They're selling assets now to cover Eleanor's fines and legal fees. There may not be much left. I thought about it for exactly 10 seconds. I don't want to sue, I said. Ms. Thornton, you're entitled. I know, but I don't want to spend the next 3 years fighting them in court. I just want what Grandma Dorothy meant for me to have, the $250,000. That's enough. Patricia was quiet for a moment. You're sure? I'm sure. All right, I'll process the paperwork. You should receive the funds within 30 days. Thank you, Ms. Myers, for everything. You're welcome, Jen. Your grandmother would be proud of how you handled this. I hope she was right. The money arrived in my account on a Thursday morning in October. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the number on my screen. $250,000. I waited for something. Relief, joy, vindication. Instead, I just felt tired. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. The first message in 2 months. I see you got the money. I hope you're happy now. Not, I'm sorry. Not, we were wrong. Not, we should have treated you fairly from the start. Just accusation. Just bitterness. I didn't respond. Eleanor never contacted me at all. My father sent a single text 3 days later. Your mother is very hurt. I hope you know that. Again, I didn't reply. But my cousin Melissa reached out. Hey Jen, I heard what happened. I always thought it was unfair how they treated you. I'm glad you got what Grandma left you. You deserved it. That message made me cry more than anything else had in months. A week later, Stephanie, the friend from high school, texted. I don't know the whole story, but I know your family hasn't been fair to you for years. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. That takes guts. I realized something then. The people who truly cared about me, who saw me clearly, had been on the sidelines all along. They'd witnessed the casual cruelty, the dismissiveness, the way I was always made to feel like I wasn't enough. And now they were telling me what my parents never would. You deserved better. I didn't need my family's apology. I needed my own peace. And for the first time in months, sitting in my small apartment with those kind messages on my screen, I felt something close to it. I spent 2 weeks thinking carefully about what to do with the money. The first thing I did was pay off my student loans. All $47,000. I clicked the Pay in Full button and watched the balance drop to 0. For the first time since I was 22 years old, I owed nothing. Next, I put a down payment on a small 1-bedroom condo in Southeast Portland. Nothing fancy, just a place that was mine. A place no one could take from me. Then I did something that felt right in a way I couldn't fully explain. I contacted Portland State University and set up a scholarship fund in my grandmother's name, the Dorothy Ann Whitfield Scholarship for first-generation college students. $50,000. Enough to provide $5,000 annually to 10 students who, like me, were doing it alone. Students whose families couldn't or wouldn't help. Students who needed someone to believe in them. The rest, about $100,000, I put into savings. Not for anything specific. Just for security. For breathing room, for the future, I didn't buy a new car. I didn't go on an extravagant vacation. I didn't post about it on social media. Instead, I sat at my new kitchen table in my new condo, drinking tea and looking out at the city. And I felt something I hadn't felt in a very long time. Freedom. That night, I wrote a letter I never sent. Dear Grandma Dorothy, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for seeing me as someone worthy of investment, even when my own parents didn't. I'm using your gift wisely, not just for myself, but to help others the way you helped me. I miss you, I love you, and I promise to make you proud. Jen. I folded the letter and put it in a drawer. 6 months after I moved into my condo, I sat by the window on a Saturday morning and thought about that day in the lawyer's office. The day my parents had handed my sister everything and called me difficult. The day I'd smiled and walked away. I used to think that moment was my lowest point. the ultimate rejection. But now I understood. It was actually the beginning of my freedom, because walking away from that table meant I stopped waiting for them to see my worth. I stopped trying to earn their approval. I stopped shrinking myself to fit into a family that had no space for me. Had I wanted things to be different? Of course. Did I wish my parents had loved me and Eleanor equally? Every single day. But wishing didn't change reality. And reality was this. My family had made their choices. They'd decided long ago who mattered and who didn't. That wasn't my fault. It wasn't my responsibility to fix. And it certainly wasn't my job to set myself on fire to keep them warm when they'd never once offered me a match. Some people might think I should have helped Eleanor when she got in trouble. That family means showing up no matter what. But I'd learned something important. Love without respect isn't love. It's exploitation. And boundaries aren't cruelty. They're self-preservation. I didn't win. Not really. I didn't get my family back. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get validation. But I got something better. I got myself back. The version of me who knows her value doesn't come from other people's approval. The version who can sit in a quiet room and feel at peace. That's not winning in the way movies show it, but it's the only win that actually matters. If there's one thing I want you to take from my story, it's this. Boundaries are not mean. They're not selfish. They're not evidence that you don't love someone. Boundaries are the way you teach people how to treat you. For years, I accepted being treated as less than because I thought that's what family required. I thought if I just kept showing up, kept being patient, kept proving myself, eventually they'd see me. But people who don't want to see you never will. And that's not your failure. It's theirs. I learned that loving someone doesn't mean accepting their mistreatment. It doesn't mean sacrificing your dignity to maintain a relationship. It doesn't mean setting yourself on fire to keep them warm. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do, for them and for yourself, is to step back and let them face the natural consequences of their choices. I didn't report my sister. I didn't sabotage my family. I didn't seek revenge. I just stopped protecting them from themselves. And when the truth came out, when Eleanor's choices caught up with her, when my parents' favoritism left them with nothing, I didn't celebrate, but I also didn't rush in to fix it. Because fixing it would have required me to betray myself, again. And I was done doing that. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. You decide who gets to walk through. You decide what behavior you'll accept and what you won't. You decide when enough is enough. And if people call you difficult for having standards, let them. Their opinion of you isn't your responsibility. Your peace is. I chose peace. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel guilty about it. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever had to set boundaries with people you love, drop a comment below. You're not alone in this. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more stories like this one, and check the description for resources on family boundaries and financial protection. I'll see you in the next video. Remember, you deserve to be treated with respect. Always. Last month, something unexpected happened. I was making coffee on a Sunday morning when I got an email. The sender, Eleanor Thornton. Subject line, no subject. I stared at it for a long time. My finger hovered over the delete button, then over the open button. I did neither. Instead, I moved it to a folder labeled later and closed my laptop. Maybe one day I'll read it. Maybe I'll find out she's finally ready to apologize, or to take accountability, or to acknowledge what she did. Maybe the email says she's sorry, or maybe it says she still blames me. I don't know. And right now, I don't need to know. Because I've built a life I'm proud of, a life where I wake up without dread, where I make my own choices, where I'm not constantly trying to prove I'm worth something to people who've already decided I'm not. I have friends who see me, a job I'm good at, a home that's mine. I have peace, and that peace isn't dependent on whether my family ever understands what they did to me. It's not dependent on whether they apologize or change or suddenly realize I deserved better. It's just mine. Someday, maybe next month, maybe next year, I might open that email. But today, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing the version of myself who knows that walking away wasn't giving up. It was growing up. And if my family ever wants to be part of my life again, they'll have to meet me where I am now. Not where I used to be, small, accommodating, desperate for their approval. But here, strong, boundaried, free. For the first time in my life, I'm not waiting for anyone's permission to be okay. I already am.